take a look at the absolute whiplash-inducing speed of Google's newest AI release. Seriously, if you're feeling like you literally just finished updating your systems for the last Gemini model, you are definitely not alone. The landscape is just moving at a breakneck pace right now. Today, we're breaking down everything you need to know about Google's brand new Gemini 3.7 Flash model. We're going to map out exactly what's changed, where it excels, where it falls completely flat, and what this incredibly rapid release cycle tells us about the intense AI wars happening behind the scenes.
23. That is the exact number of days between the release of Gemini 3.6 Flash and the surprise launch of Gemini 3.7 Flash on August 13, 2026. I mean, just think about that for a second. Barely over 3 weeks. In the traditional software world, 23 days is barely enough time to run a standard quality assurance check on a minor bug fix, let alone push out an entirely new iteration of a foundational AI model. And this marks Google's third Flash tier upgrade just between May and August of 2026. This isn't just a standard update, it's a massive statement of relentless momentum. Google is flooding the zone right now, and they are using their lightweight tier to do it.
So, moving right along to our first major shift, an aggressive new pricing structure where the cost per million tokens is literally cut in half. What's really fascinating here is the sheer scale of the discount they're using to just devour market share. Google is throwing down a massive 50% introductory discount. Right now, you're paying just 75 cents per million input tokens and $3.75 per million output tokens. Even context caching sits at a tiny fraction of a cent. But, and this is absolutely crucial for anyone budgeting for enterprise applications, this honeymoon phase ends strictly on December 31st, 2026. Come January 1st, 2027, the party's over and every single one of those standard rates doubles. Input jumps to $1.50, output to $7.50, and caching doubles to 15 cents. Google is effectively daring developers to build out massive applications on the cheap today, betting that they're going to stick around when the true toll comes due next year.
Next up, benchmarks and model weaknesses. We're going to highlight the specific performance gains as well as the real agentic limits. So, Google is making some pretty bold claims about coding improvements specifically around debugging and issue resolution. And well, the data backs them up right out of the gate. Look at this massive leap on the DeepSui version 1.1 benchmark. This is a critical metric for software engineering tasks, and we can see it rocketing from 49% to over 65%. That's a greater than 16-point jump in just 23 days of model iteration. When Google says they've targeted debugging, this is exactly the kind of leap you want to see. It means the model is getting significantly better at not just spitting out code, but autonomously fixing broken code.
And it's not a one-off. The Frontier Code 1.1 main benchmark shows a very similar upward trajectory, pushing from 34.4% up to 43.6%. This represents a solid, undeniable gain in foundational coding capability. What you really should take away from this is that the Flash tier, it's no longer just a fast, cheap conversational alternative. It is rapidly becoming a genuinely potent tool for actual software engineers looking to automate complex back-end workflows without coughing up the premium cost for those heavier flagship models.
And the gains aren't just in back-end logic either. Web development also gets a really noticeable boost. The WebDev Arena Elo score climbed up to 1588. So what does this actually mean for you in practical terms? Well, it means the model generates much better, fully functional web layouts and feature-complete applications using way fewer prompts. You don't have to hold its hand as much to get a working front-end interface. It's simply understanding the holistic structure of web development better than its predecessor did just 3 weeks ago.
All right, but let's be real. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. This brilliantly illustrates exactly where lightweight models still hit a brick wall. Yes, web and coding scores are up, but agentic computer use trails heavily behind. When you ask it to actually navigate an operating system and act like a human user on OS World 2.0, it scores a pretty mediocre 38.1%. Worse still, it scores a genuinely weak 14.9% on Terminal Bench 3.0. In this arena, it is still lagging far, far behind heavier competitors like GPT 5.6 Terra. Sure, it can write the code, but if you wanted to autonomously operate your terminal or desktop environment to execute complex, multi-step IT tasks, Gemini 3.7 Flash is going to struggle hard.
Okay, moving on to Section 3, Availability and Regional Lockouts. Basically, where and how can you actually deploy this 1 million token model today?
Just a quick refresher, this model comes packing a massive 1 million token context window and is fully multimodal. That means it effortlessly handles images, video, audio, and giant PDFs all at the same time. And as of right now, it is live across 6 major Google platforms. Developers can hit it via the Gemini API, AI Studio, Antigravity, and Android Studio. For corporate environments, it's live on Gemini Enterprise. And for everyday consumers, it's powering Gemini Spark for those on the AI Pro and Ultra subscription tiers. That is a massive footprint for day one availability.
But there's a pretty huge catch depending on your zip code. While the backend API access works globally, that consumer-facing Spark service is completely geo-blocked in the European Economic Area, the UK, Switzerland, and Nigeria. If you're a consumer in those regions hoping to play with 3.7 Flash on your phone or your web browser today, you are completely out of luck. And notably, Google has provided absolutely zero timeline for when or even if this exclusion will be lifted. It really highlights the growing regulatory fragmentation of global AI access we're seeing right now.
DeepMind's bigger strategy shift. Let's look at the corporate machine actually driving this model.
If we zoom out from the code for a second, the timeline over the last few months tells an incredible story of a company in massive transition. In May of 2026 at Google I/O, they announced their huge flagship, Gemini 3.5 Pro. But then, between May and August, all the actual shipping action happened entirely in the Flash tier with 3 separate upgrades. And right at this very moment, in August 2026, a massive leadership transition is taking place at the very top. Kore Kavuktuoglu is stepping in as the new chief of Google DeepMind, replacing AI legend Demis Hassabis. This 23-day release cycle isn't just about code. It's about a new leadership regime pushing aggressive, tangible momentum.
And this really hits the nail on the head regarding the stark contrast and, frankly, the internal struggles within Google's current ecosystem. On one side, the lightweight Flash tier is literally sprinting ahead. Breakneck speeds, 3 upgrades in 3 months, dropping prices, boosting coding scores. But on the other side, the heavyweight flagship Gemini 3.5 Pro, it has been totally stalled out. According to reports, it's heavily delayed specifically due to coding performance issues. That heavy model has remained virtually untouched by the public since February. It clearly shows where Google's immediate focus and perhaps their engineering momentum currently lies: fast, cheap, and iterative.
So, that leaves us with one massive looming question to wrap up on. Given this massive corporate pivot toward fast, lightweight, highly iterative models that are starting to punch way above their weight class in coding, what does this mean for the future of Google's heavyweights? If a model that costs half the price and gets updated every 23 days can start acing software benchmarks, will those monolithic, incredibly expensive pro-tier models eventually become obsolete dinosaurs before they even launch? It's a fascinating shift in the AI arms race, and it is entirely transforming how developers are building the future. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep your eyes on the data.